Here we are at the Friday Night Movie Podcast. We're not at the booth. We are actually at the panel event here at Gamer Comic Expo.
Yeah.
It's been a long couple of days.
Yeah, it
and
has.
we have an amazing guest here, star of television,
no.
screen, a professional comedian,
Yeah.
a writer, a singer, performer, Mr. Mike Valdes.
What's up?
You are playing the part of both of my sisters today.
Yeah.
That's your first task.
Well, I already sound like a girl, so that'll work. Yeah.
So, Mike, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Friday Night Movie family.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this.
I know we've had a lot of fun chatting throughout the con. So let's set the scene a little bit. As far as the Gamer Comic Expo, what has been your highlight so far of the con?
Oh, man. I was actually just talking to my buddy Pete about this, where definitely the highlight for me was I was moderating panels. That was my job. So I moderated a panel with Robbie Riss, the voice of Michelangelo in the Ninja Turtle movies.
Did you get him to say cowabunga?
He said a lot of things. He said, "God, I love being a turtle." He did. When I went to his booth, I didn't even ask him, but he was like, "Pizza dude's got 30 seconds." It was awesome.
That's amazing.
It was really great. But there was a moment where he was talking about Ninja Turtles, the movie 3, or the third movie.
Oh, Turtles in... Well, it's not Turtles in Time, but it
Yeah.
might as well have been Turtles in
Might
Time,
well have
right?
been, yeah. And I was like, well, I mean, I like it, and he was like, that movie's terrible. It's awful. And I was like, well, I mean, technically my favorite is the first, but I like the second one and the third one. And he's like, the second one isn't good. And then we kind of had this like almost comical like fake banter about like, this movie's better and like you're a better fan or you're not a fan. And then I had this moment beside myself that I said out loud, and it got a really big laugh in the room, where I was like, if I could tell my 8-year-old self that I would be on a stage arguing with the voice of Michelangelo on which Ninja Turtle movie is the best one, I would think I was crazy.
The only thing that could top that is if you guys broke into a Go Ninja Go Vanilla Ice dance break.
Yes.
I think
That would be amazing.
all right. Well, we talk a lot about our childhood. We talk a lot about growing up.
Yeah, as do I.
The Ninja Turtles movie is a huge milestone moment in my family.
Yeah.
Because I went with my sisters to see it in the theater with our parents. It was, I don't know if it was on a Friday night, but that was the same spirit of a Friday night movie. But it was the night before, unbeknownst to us, that our mother would end up in the hospital for a really long time.
Oh, wow.
And she's all right now.
Okay.
She's a frequent guest on the pod. I had her on yesterday. But for me, that movie has always been this like very important thing, because it was a happy moment my parents wanted to have with us, even though they knew nothing about the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But the movie had a moment in it where April O'Neil and Casey Jones slammed the doors, and
Yeah.
I remember it to this day. Before, I assume it's Michelangelo said, just like moonlighting, or maybe it's Donatello who says it.
Yeah.
My mother said it out loud beforehand. It reminded her of this TV show with Bruce Willis and Sybil
That's
Shepherd,
so funny.
Moonlighting. And she has this amazing ability she's our pop culture North Star in our family. My dad's awesome too, but she is the one who really embraces everything. Do you have a movie from your childhood that is an anchor like that has that kind of experience?
It's funny because I love movies. I like them so much, and I was listening to your show, and I know that something that you like to do is like to do like a top 5 list.
Oh yeah, or 6, because my sister always cheats.
Man, it is so hard for me to do that, because it's just, I love so many movies. And honestly, the only thing I know for a fact is that my favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future.
The first one?
The first
one. Or
one.
do you count them all as one contiguous event?
I technically do count them all as one thing. I know there's a lot of people that don't like Part 3. I'm okay with it.
Okay, I'm going to go bold here.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Part 3 is my favorite Back to the Future.
There you go.
Boom. Mic drop.
This is my personal thought. I think Back to the Future 3 is the funniest of the 3.
I think I like Back to the Future 3 because it has the simplicity of the first one, but it does not have the like darkness and that terrifying edge of
the
early
second
part.
one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the second one. But even the first one, when that grim, dirty 1980s that Marty lives in before his family conquers their demons.
Yeah.
I like the fact that when you go back to Hill Valley in the 1800s, that while there are challenges and there's Wild West and there's shooting, it's just a brighter movie. It's a brighter story for Marty.
Yeah.
You've resolved a lot of Marty's own past issues here.
Yeah.
And except the chicken thing, but he's at the end of that growth arc, and something that means a lot to me is character development. That's the biggest thing, and Marty really does develop. And by the third Back to the Future, he's the more rational one, keeping Doc on the rails as Doc submits to love.
Yeah, I definitely could agree with that. Absolutely, that's a great way of looking at it. I love, one of the reasons why I love that first one is just because that movie in every way, shape, or form is just lightning in a bottle. Like there is no way.
It's the only one. So what did you think in Avengers Endgame when they had the extensive takedown of Back to the Future?
Oh, I still thought that joke was funny.
Oh yeah, that joke was really good.
I still thought it was great. I enjoyed it. I actually even liked that they were referencing Back to the Future. Like at the end of the day, I thought that was a funny way of looking at it, But yeah, like just man, that like the stories you hear about that movie, if your listeners haven't heard about, the whole Eric Stoltz thing and he was the original Marty McFly and they shot most of the movie with him.
Is there an Eric Stoltz cut, like the Snyder cut floating around out there?
Release the Snyder cut of Back to the Future. I want to see that Eric weird Stoltz. Marty McFly.
So this is great because we're gonna segue right into a Friday Night Movie game.
Let's do it.
So we play a number of bits and games on Friday Night Movie, and one of them is called Cast Away. Cast Away. It might come up again when we do the card game.
Got it.
Cast Away is a game where I'll throw out a scenario and you've got to pitch me the dream cast, or if not your dream cast, your cast for that particular scenario that you think is going to work. So here we've got Eric Stoltz, we've got Michael J. Fox. Back to the Future is rebooting.
Okay.
You cannot stop it. Okay. Because I know all of us agree. I'm looking around the room.
I hope in this scenario I'm not alive.
It's exactly. It's in the era of post Fallout, that video game.
Yes.
Right? And people are like, we've got to reboot Back to the Future, which should never happen.
Yeah.
But it's got to happen, and you have to save it with the casting.
Okay.
Mike Valdes.
Oh man.
Who is your? I'm going to go character by character here. So you got some, and you can jump around. All right. You are okay. Who is your Marty McFly in a rebooted Back to the Future?
Okay, this is so hard, man. You're making me answer something I would never wanted to answer.
That's part of what Friday Night Movie does. We're secretly a psychological torture mechanism.
I think, honestly, the best decision right now is probably going to be Finn Wolfhard.
Okay,
because
I think
that. The reason why is because he's in a band, he plays guitar already, like he's kind of becoming this like cool guy, but you could also believe he's a nerd at the same time. There's that whole vibe that I get from him, and I'm assuming also, he's playing the age that Marty McFly was playing, like he's not 12 in this scenario, but yeah, I think he would be the best new version of Marty McFly that we could have.
So I think you hit on something there, right? Finn Wolfhard is being cast essentially in these retro 80s role, even in the Weezer video. Have you seen the Weezer video
for
Take On Me?
That's also kind of the reason why I picked him as well, because he's so good at being in the 80s kind of a thing.
It's almost like the version of like being an old-timey British actor and being in a period piece. I guess there's certain people that have the look to be in an 80s movie, and maybe Finn Wolfhard has that.
Yeah, so that is true.
I really love where you're going with that. So I'm gonna give you something crazy here.
Okay.
Because I play too in these games. That's
how
it works. All right. So and if you guys, we have audience here. If anyone wants to play too at any point in any of the games, just raise your hand. We've got 2 microphones. You don't have to go in this round, but we'll keep going. I'm gonna gender swap.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm gonna go with. I don't know if you watched this show. It just ended on ABC, so she's free. Eden Scher, who played Sue Heck on The Middle. Okay. She has a tremendous knack for physical comedy. She has a tremendous knack for being awkward, but when you actually look at her in her real life, the character is extremely awkward. Yeah. She's actually a much more of an elegant character than she plays, and I'd love to see that kind of role with her kind of punk rock it up a bit.
Man, I actually would really like that as well. She plays the middle child in The Middle.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So, man, she would be phenomenal. Man, I agree with you on all of those things. She's a phenomenal actress. I think that would be great. If you were to gender swap it, that would be perfect.
I think so. So that's so. All right, cool. All right. Yeah. So now, why don't we? I'm gonna give you a tougher character because we're not done with Back to the Future casting here. Okay. You thought you're like, oh, phew. All right, I Finn Wolfharded it. Now we're out of here. Nope. Now I want you to go into I think one of the most interesting characters because he's only really most people don't know this, but George McFly, Crispin Glover is only in the first movie. He's hanging upside down in the second one, but that's some other dude. For which Crispin Glover, I think, successfully sued Universal for his likeness being used. Who would you make a George McFly?
Man, that's so difficult because I actually think that the George McFly character is so important in why that movie is so special, because he finds a way to be so like he finds a way to like be a nerd in this way where you can be anyone and you understand how he feels. You've been in that situation where you're fearful of what people are going to say because you don't want to confront them because you don't know that they could possibly end you or that kind of thing.
Right, because in those days bullies like could kill you.
Exactly.
Well, I mean maybe I don't know. You guys are younger than me. Maybe bullies can still kill people, but in my Jewish private school, the bullies could like at most, push you into a locker.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's the other part that scares me. In this reboot of Back to the Future, is Biff just going to be like a YouTube commenter? Like,
that?
Like, that's the thing that kind of makes me upset about this reboot.
So Biff is like a cyberbully in this new one. So like, so Biff is just insert generic influencer
exactly,
here. Okay,
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it could be like PewDiePie or something. I don't know. Some YouTuber.
I don't know all of the YouTubers just yet.
Me neither.
The YouTubers I know, I started following, it seems have already shut down their YouTube channels because I'm a decade late to getting to them. So, I'm like, oh, where can I find that? Oh, well, no, they quit YouTube when the ad sales thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Right. I actually think this question is harder than casting Marty McFly.
Well, so I think let's break it down. I think we need someone that has. Crispin Glover is a bona fide psycho, right?
I agree.
So you need someone who can play the nerd, but that has a glint of like crazy in their eye. And that absolutely is tough. I'm gonna go with this is totally like out of the blue. This is what has instinctively come to my mind here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with the guy who plays Toby on The Office.
Okay.
All right, you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Lieber. Oh man, if anyone remember his name, I don't have IMDb here right now.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it's a perfect casting, but the one reason why he comes to my mind is that he seems like a person, if pushed too hard, could do a little bit of murder.
Yeah.
But also he's a little bit of a romantic. And when I think of his unrequited love of Pam Beesly, now that guy's in his 50s, so this is a very badly cast character. But
yes.
if I could take anyone at any age, I would take him.
Okay, man. I think I think the best answer that I can think of, at least at this moment, would be. I forget. I can't remember his last name. It's I know his first name is Dylan. He's on 13 Reasons Why right now.
Okay.
He's the main character. He plays Clay.
Okay.
And now the only reason why I choose him is because he's very good at playing the awkward outcast, but also you can see how he can be the romantic, kind of a person.
That is an infinitely better answer than mine. And while there are no winners and losers in this game, Mike Valdes, you win this. All right, before we get into the game, I want to ask you a couple of questions about you. You have been on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
You have an album.
Yeah.
At least one.
Yeah, at least one.
At least one that I know of. You are a stand-up, and you have been actually the person doing the rodeo of the stand-up here at Gamer Comic Expo. Let's start with Nickelodeon.
Sure.
All right, because I grew up on 80s Nickelodeon, the OG.
Absolutely.
Where the green slime came from.
Yes.
What show are you on? Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, I've done a lot of things. So I mean, the Nickelodeon show that I did, I was on an episode of a show called I Am Frankie, which is it's a comedic kind of dramedy kind of a show, it's for the teen Nick market. Okay. And so essentially it's about a girl who has a friend who's a robot who's named Frankie. Okay. And essentially I played in an episode, I played one of these henchman villain guys.
Henchman villain.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But the fun thing was that my character was dumb, so I didn't have to do much acting.
Okay.
I was very
So I'm gonna beg to differ, because if you're a stand-up comic, the amount of rehearsing and precision that you need to really do that right is amazing. The best stand-up comics make it look effortless, but there's so much effort into going into it. Is that what the experience is like for you? Do you put a lot of effort into your stand-up material?
I definitely do, and I put effort in my acting and all that stuff. I always try to put as much effort. I think the hardest part is making it look like it's effortless. That's really the hardest part.
Exactly. What's the secret recipe to that? Because now we can just give it all away.
That's the thing. You know what? I would tell you if I knew it.
Okay.
That's the thing. If I knew how to make the sandwich, I would give you the recipe. But I don't know. All I know is that when it comes to anything, when it comes to acting, when it comes to stand up, even when it came to making my own podcast or making an album or anything, it was something where I was just I'm doing this because I want to have fun. And if I'm not having fun anymore, then why am I doing this?
Okay.
That kind of thing. So I basically just, and also just because I do so many things, it could also be my ADD, or maybe I'm bored or something. But some days I'll have a day where I just think of bits, and then I'll have another day where all I want to do is write a song. If you were to look at my notepad or my notebooks, you would think I was insane. They're what is...
It would look like the Joker's notepad.
Exactly.
Again, the Joker?
Yeah,
okay.
it would be questions what does love mean? And then also farts are weird. You're what is going on with this guy? You know what I mean?
I feel like I really understand you, Mike.
Yeah. I hope so.
So, all right, stand up. Let's talk about something that's going on in the stand up world now. You're seeing more and more stand up comedians. Mm-hmm. They're not letting people have cell phones and in shows, because they don't want their bits taken out of context. Yeah. I'll be straight with you. Mm-hmm. I think this is good. I think that there's a certain amount of freedom that needs to happen in the world of stand-up comedy. It has to. You're making a contract with the comedian when you go in and sit in that room with them, and then once I feel like it's a little bit of a violation of the contract to go to a comedy show and then cancel someone for being offensive. In most cases. I think there are some lines that have been crossed. I think of Michael Richards as one of those examples.
Yes.
But in general, I think that comedians need to have that room to create an experiment.
Of course. I definitely agree with you on that. It's something that I think that it more than likely usually always happens with celebrity comedians or way bigger comedians, when they'll come to, for example, if Jerry Seinfeld were to come to the Miami Improv, there's probably more chances that people would whip out their cell phone, because majority of them are just trying to tell their friends, hey, can you believe this? Jerry Seinfeld's here. Because again, we all just want things to go back to us. That's really all we have these apps that really, just go back to us. We have a phone that has a camera pointed to our face, it's about us, so there's all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of lucky that I'm not Jerry Seinfeld status, where it's like I would be scared of doing 10 minutes at a place because I'm scared that they would be taking things out of context and, putting videos online of my stuff that I have been working on and don't know if it's funny yet, like that kind of thing. But yeah, I definitely agree. I think that it's, you said it perfectly. It's a verbal contract, and if someone says something in a way, that's almost like your testing ground. You start to realize you say something and then it doesn't get a laugh. Okay, great. Now I know. Never say that again. Like that kind of thing. So rarely have I ever told the joke that got no laughs or has booed me. Where somebody booed at me. I was like, oh, that was a funny joke. I got booed off. That was great. Like most of the time you just repeat the stuff that people like. So, but yeah, those are my thoughts pretty much.
Okay, cool. All right, let's play. So my sisters and I have created, and this is a Gamer Comic Expo.
Yeah.
So my sisters and I have created a Friday Night Movie Home Edition.
Mm-hmm. I
so
love this.
You're gonna have to be sharp here.
Yeah. Oh, I'm all about it.
And audience members, you are welcome to participate at any time.
Yeah.
So in one hand, I just need to. Honestly, there's one card that's like a bad penny, and I'm just taking it out because it's like the womp womp every time it pops up, and I'm just like, nope, this is not making it to the next round of this podcast's existence. Okay, so I've got two piles here. I've got one. These are the bit cards. Okay? These are all signature Friday Night Movie bits. They're all bits that we created for the show. But that's the shuffling, by the way.
Yeah.
If people are listening, that's not me like tearing things up. These are all bits that we've done on the show, or at least we do in our own conversations. And they all have their own names. That isn't to say that you haven't or anyone hasn't had these types of conversations. It's part of what we're trying to do here is really. And then on the other side is a series of topics. And, in my dream world when we have this, there'll be expansion packs and you can get all sorts of variations. But right now, these are just ones that made the most sense to us. So I'm going to ask you to pull a bit card first. Okay. And then the way the game works is I'm the host. Mm-hmm. You're the contestant, if you will. And you can pull any bit card you want, and you show me the bit, and I'll explain it to you. And then we're gonna MVP. Okay, MVP. This is I would say this is a great one, and it's easy. I'm gonna ask you who your most valuable player, performer, actor is in something, and that something is the general topic is going to be defined. But what you pull
oh man,
out
I love this
topic,
already.
What you pull out of the topics here.
Movies and TV you were too young to see.
Okay, so all right, movies and TV that you were too young to see. Okay. We all have those movies. I saw Revenge of the Nerds when I was 6. Any of you guys see Revenge of the Nerds? It's like a super hard R rated.
Yeah.
Think American Pie is a kid's movie compared to Revenge of the Nerds.
That's very true. I did see it, but I was of an age where I was old enough.
Yeah.
So
name one of those, and then we're gonna work the MVP in there.
Man, I'm trying to think. It's tough. I actually talk about this on my podcast, Childlike at Best with Mike Valdes, where I grew up in a very conservative home, so I wasn't allowed to watch a crazy amount of things, in fact, I grew up in a very religious home, so I couldn't watch Harry Potter until I was in my 20s.
Because it was like witchcraft?
Yeah, I couldn't watch it until I was in my 20s, and that was my rebellion. Was watching a PG movie made for children. That kind of thing.
My parents were not hung up on witchcraft-based things. They thought things like that were awesome for us.
Yeah, it's so weird. My best friend went through the same thing where he couldn't watch. This is the thing that kills me. He couldn't watch Harry Potter, but he could watch Wizards of Waverly Place. It's the same thing.
Oh wow!
It makes no sense.
I have no idea what. So what would have been your Harry Potter contraband? The thing you watched. Everyone had that kid growing up. You went over to their house and they had gun toys. Okay. We weren't allowed gun toys in my house.
Man, So I've said this story on my podcast, but I'll go ahead and tell you because it's a story.
And
the
name of the podcast is Childlike at Best with Mike Valdes, and people should listen to it.
Yeah.
Even though he's giving us some free material here right now.
Yeah, it's fun. But so essentially, when I was a kid, my friends that we always would take to church were like, "Hey, Mikey, do you want to watch Dumb and Dumber?" And I said, "Yeah."
I was just telling my kids that movie has an extended diarrhea scene.
Oh, yeah.
They were.
It's probably my favorite of all time. And so he's like, and so I was like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." And for some reason, my dad thought that would be a good idea to hang out and watch it with us. And so we were watching the movie and everything was fine. We were laughing, at all the dumb stuff. And then there's this scene, and I'm sure all of your listeners as well as you will know what I'm talking about. It's the scene where Jim Carrey is driving in the Sheepdog, and he has this daydream about Swanson.
Played by Lauren Holly. And
Lauren
I'll just
Holly.
say, if
Yes,
you were a
Lauren Holly.
kid growing up as like a teenager in those days, Lauren Holly was on this TV show called Picket Fences.
Okay.
She was very, very hot then.
Yeah.
Like, she was a big deal.
Holy cow. That doesn't surprise me at all. And so, anyway,
this guy knows Lauren Holly. Look at him.
There's a great scene where, they're like taking off articles of clothing, and then she takes off her dress, and then the joke is that the headlights of the car are her boobs.
Oh, yeah.
But my dad doesn't understand jokes, so my dad thought that we were just going to see boobs. So he was just like, no, this movie isn't funny. And so I was banned from watching Jim Carrey movies.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's it. Jim Carrey's the devil. Okay, so, all right.
Which is crazy because when you think about it, it wasn't the director of the movie, it wasn't the writer of the movie, nor was it the person who took her dress off. It was Jim Carrey's fault. So to me, I would say my MVP is Jim Carrey.
All right. There, you got the answer. I mean, you didn't have to. So for that's amazing.
Yeah.
You nailed it. I would say, for me, Revenge of the Nerds is always the one that comes to my mind. But another big one was my dad my mom was out of town. And, Dad, I mean, my daughter has been with me at this con all week.
Yeah.
She's been amazing. She's more mature than me. But we've been eating like cookies and cheeseburgers for 3 days straight. So my dad and I were hanging out when my mom was out of town, which was very rare growing up. And we watched the movie Red Heat, which is, I was like 11, I think, and that is like a very murdery R-rated movie with Schwarzenegger and Jim Belushi. And my MVP in that one is everyone would think maybe it's Arnold, but it's Jim Belushi as that like fast-talking American cop that you wouldn't see. You would see this only parodied now, the American cop and the communist and the communist cop. So for me, that's that one. All right, now let's you want to play another round?
Yes, I would love that.
All right, so grab a bit card again.
I'm going to grab this one. Exceptions.
Oh, expectations.
Expectations.
Okay, this one does not require a topic.
Okay.
And I'm not going to put you on the spot to have a topic on this one because it might end up too narrow.
Okay.
Expectations is a very serious moment of shame that you could have.
Okay.
And that is when and high expectations can lead to a condition we call showbarrassment, which means that you say to your friend, you got to watch this show or this movie, and you sit there and you're like, I can't wait for you to watch this show. Please watch this show. Please watch this show. And they watch it, and you're so excited. And it's one of those times where you're watching them, and you're watching the show. You're watching them, you're watching the show. You're watching them, you're watching the show, right? Because you're so excited.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, they're like, that sucked.
Yeah.
Or they turn it off, or they start looking on their phone in the middle. And that leads to showbarrassment.
Yeah.
So what is a time where you have set high expectations, and those expectations have not been met?
Okay, the one that I'm thinking of is one where I told my best friend, my best friend and his wife love rom-coms.
Okay.
And so I had just seen this rom-com on Netflix, and I honestly can't even remember the name of it. It was the girl from...
Well, they're churning so many out right now on Netflix that they're barely paying attention. Exactly. The algorithm is actually directing the movies at this point. Right.
And so basically it's the premise of the movie was that this girl, I think it's Sierra Burgess. Is that Sierra Burgess?
My sister's has seen that one.
Is that
something like that?
Something where she pretends to be another girl, and like all this stuff happens. Where it's all has to do with like the guy thinks, it's like playing with this guy's mind and, all this kind of thing. And I showed my friend, I was like, oh, this is, I through Facebook Messenger, because he lives in Orlando. So I was like, hey, you should watch this movie. It's pretty funny. And then it also has really heartfelt moments in it and like blah, blah, blah. So they watched it, and then he messaged me back, and he was like, that movie is awful. And I was like, why would you say that? And he's just like, he just started, and then he made a point where he was just like, if you switch the roles, if it was a guy that was doing that, this movie would be problematic. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You're actually not wrong at all. So yeah, that's definitely the time I've had show embarrassment.
Oh, sure. that is a great moment of show embarrassment. I'll tell you one where some people have really should have their own show embarrassment. Mm-hmm. I literally had every person I know tell me to see The Joker, and I didn't want to see it, but everyone said it was so amazing, and I saw it, and I recognize it is a great movie. Yeah, I hated every minute of it, really? Except the few minutes with Brian Callen, who's on the Goldbergs, and it's a really funny guy. But I was miserable for every minute of The Joker.
Oh my gosh,
they played. I just felt like. And I've said this on the pod before, I feel like they spent most of their budget in very upsetting cello music, and I did not enjoy it. So for me, but no one seems to be, most people just think I'm an idiot. So I accept that.
Well, I actually, I have.
You're like, you are an idiot.
No, I don't think that. I completely understand people that don't like it. Because that movie doesn't define my personality. But also, something that I really found funny about that movie is like, hopefully when you're listening to this, you've seen The Joker, so I'm not spoiling anything when I say these things, but there's a part in it when he takes Zazie Beetz, this girl, to hit the comedy club, and he does comedy, and and they're kind of like on this date or whatever. And then you find out later on that like it was all in his mind, and she never went on a date with him and all this stuff. I actually immediately knew that it was on his mind the moment that he took her to the comedy club.
Oh, I knew it was all on his mind too.
Because he bombed and the date continued. I was like, there is no way
would you
that would ever happen.
Would you ever take someone who you were dating?
There is no chance.
To a show?
There was no chance. Not even if I liked her, I would never take her to a comedy show that I was performing at. No way.
That is amazing. That's. I mean, I was in a band, and my band wasn't like a cool, like sexy band.
Yeah,
we're more like Bare Naked Ladies, right? Okay. So. And Bare Naked Ladies in the early 90s. Yeah. And so it never worked really that well for me, but I felt like with music, you're at least playing and gesticulating.
Of course, yeah.
With comedy, it's like there is a defined metric on whether or not you have done a good job.
Yeah.
The people laugh or they don't laugh, and it is an instant evaluation.
Yeah.
When you think about the world of social media, likes and instant, it almost feels like, and I like social media a lot. I'm not anti-social media. I think if it's used responsibly and people put positive things out in the world, then it can be a positive thing.
I agree.
But when you think about how stand-up comics, like the psychology of stand-up comics, and then you imagine tons of people playing in the volatile world of instant thumbs up or thumbs downs, or worse, no likes, quiet.
Yeah.
Just like crickets. I kind of see where the
crazy.
Psychological damage can come from.
Pete Holmes has this amazing analogy about how really the hardest job in entertainment is magic, because there's just a group of people that are trying to ruin it for themselves. Like it's like all they're doing is just like, it's a magnet. It's magnets, dude. It's totally a magnet. Like, hey, can you just like not pretend like this is a magic trick and just live in the moment, like that kind of thing. Because that's the thing about comedy is like when you tell a joke, people laugh. They make a sound that you hear that knows that you did something successfully. there's no sound that the human body makes when they see a magic trick. You know, like there's no.
Well, sometimes they go.
Yeah, like they can't go magic. Like they don't do that. Like people just laugh, and you know, like that worked. It was a joke, and I know, you know. So it is pretty hard for a magician, you know, when you really think about it like that.
Yeah, that makes a really good point. Magic, that magic kind of blows my mind. All right, so you have a podcast.
I do.
Like It Best
with Mike Valdes,
and you have told me with Mike Valdes.
Yeah, I'm the second part.
Oh, you're the second part.
Yeah,
I gotta make sure to put that on there.
Yeah,
you have bits. Now I have put you very much on the spot here.
That's okay.
I would love to do one or two of your bits.
Absolutely.
If you would be willing to use them on another platform.
Oh my gosh, I would love that. So we usually talk about fandoms and things like that. So we've been doing that quite a bit.
Do you need someone to talk for 2.5 hours about how much they hate The Last Jedi?
Oh, I'm all about it.
Okay,
let's
right.
do it.
No.
That
is both true about my feelings, but is also a running bit on our podcast.
Oh, is it?
I try to bring every conversation back to that.
Yeah,
like I'm my own Arthur Fleck when it comes to that.
This has been why I hate The Last Jedi. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Exactly.
Anyway, so one of the things that we like to do at Childlike at Best is we like to review breakfast cereal, because I think that childhood is so important especially on Saturday morning, like watching cartoons and eating cereal. Like that is just childhood to me.
You have fallen down a dangerous rabbit hole here.
Is it?
Yes, my dear friend Chris and I, he's a friend from one of my oldest friend from work. He and I were riding on the bus home once, and he asked me he said something about some cereal he was going to eat.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, he turns to me and he goes, I really didn't think it was possible for someone to speak uninterrupted about cereal for as long as you just did. So I'm very excited.
Yes, I love it. And usually what we like to do is at least what I like to do is I like to review a cereal that has something to do with my guest, whether it's about their personality or about them as a person, that kind of thing. So I got a specific cereal for this show and for you specifically.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
And also, by the way, I've done 25 episodes. I've never been wrong.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure I nailed this out of the park. So what I did was I spoke with my sponsors over at Funko. Now, by sponsor, I mean that I like them and I buy all their products. And by spoke to, I mean I tweeted them repeatedly and they didn't get back to me. So
I love everything that you are, Mike Valdes. I love it.
So the cereal that I got for you, Shai, is Avatar: The Last Airbender Appa cereal.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Is that a real cereal?
This is a real cereal with cereal in it that we could eat.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
You're welcome.
I am overwhelmed.
Yeah.
This is so
never been
the
wrong,
opposite
Shai.
of show-embarrassment. Well, no, sorry. I'm just show-overwhelmed. I'm actually using the term wrong, but I'm show-overwhelmed right now. That's not even the right way. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And now I have said over and over and over again on this podcast that I believe the best thing since Star Wars is Avatar Airbender.
Yeah.
How you were able to find that? Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So do we eat it now? Is that part of the fun?
So yes, part of the fun is that we do get to eat the cereal. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. Have you ever had these Funko cereals before?
No, I have never had a Funko cereal.
What's super fun about this...
that's funny how you pronounce it, Funko.
Yeah.
In my mind, I pronounce it Funko, like a funk band.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. This is 15 years I've been like, oh yeah, it's a Funko Pop. It's a Funko.
Yeah, Funko. Yeah, Fun Company.
Wow, that's a Darth Vader's really Luke Skywalker's father kind of moment I just had. Woo.
That's great. So, but yeah, obviously this is for you. This is for you to keep. The cool thing about this is it comes with a cereal prize.
They don't have good prizes anymore, but this has a prize. It has an Appa.
Also, it has a maze on the back.
Oh,
it's got all that stuff.
I mean, I'm an 80s kid, which is, in my view, the golden age of sugar cereals and prizes. And I remember... the joy of sitting and watching and reading the back of a cereal box while you just scarfed it down and tunneled your way down to that toy. Now, this toy, very sanitary, is wrapped in plastic.
Yes.
In the 80s, you just that helicopter or whatever it was just sitting back.
So I didn't bring a bowl with me, so we're gonna have to hand it.
Let's do it, please.
But one of the things that we do is that we review the cereal.
Okay.
Now, of course, it would be fun to just review the cereal, but what would be more fun is to review this cereal as Appa.
Okay.
Right? And what's really great about this specific cereal is I don't think he's ever spoken.
That's right, but his voice he is voiced by the great, I mean, one of the, Hall of Fame voice actors, D. Bradley Baker.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I just tried to make that noise, and I got really I got very anxious when you said review this as Appa. So I'm like, oh, so you want me to just mess around with the sound effects of maybe one of the top 5 greatest voice actors of all time?
You can do anything you want. You can speak English. You can make noises. Anything you want. So I am going to go ahead and hand this over to you.
It's low in calorie as well.
Yeah, it's low in calories.
This is okay. So I'm gonna just pour some out of my hands. So I'm gonna go. Can I go through phases as I review this?
Of course you can. And if you don't mind, I want to give some to the audience.
Oh yeah,
as well.
please, have some guys.
If you want
so
some.
so just to describe them, these are O-shaped. On the cover, I was thinking, oh, maybe these are going to be sort of like a shellacked Cheerio. But when you actually feel their weight, they look like a white Applejack, if you guys ever looked at Applejacks. But when you feel their weight, they're a little bit lighter. They have almost like a pirate's booty-looking outer texture.
They do, don't they?
So you have these off-white little circles, and I'm very interested. Like, what's this flavor? Is it going to be? Is it going to be sweet? Is it going to taste like, I don't know, fish? Like, what could it be? All right, so now
I think everyone's waiting like it's a communion.
Yeah,
they're all waiting for you to have it.
All right,
first.
so but now I need to have a handful. I can't just you can't just put 2. I got to have at least like a palmful. So here it goes.
Yeah.
Whoa. Mm-hmm. Whoa. Okay. So, first of all, oh, wow. Texture is amazing because it is crispy, but it's more of like a puff situation.
Yeah.
So even though I'm eating it dry, it is not cutting the roof of my mouth.
Yeah.
And it has
not a Captain Crunch situation.
Exactly. It has a berry overtone. It almost has it tastes like one of my all-time favorite cereals, which I bought. I was so excited to share with my kids on vacation, and they hated it.
Oh, my gosh.
But it tastes like a sort of slightly less sweet, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Trix.
Yeah.
And it's making me so happy in my heart.
Great, man. I
got to eat a little bit more. We've gotten some awesome gifts from guests over the years. I'm from some really good friends, but this really crushes all. This is unbelievable.
You're very welcome, man. This one I definitely think you should review as Appa because we got the actual review. Now let's get Appa's review.
Mm-hmm. Come in, I gotta get them.
Yeah, Appa from Avatar: The Last Airbender, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh
Holy
my
cow.
goodness, that is my favorite thing I have ever done. That's incredible, Mike.
Yeah, that's for you.
Oh my goodness! Wow, there you go. Mike won the podcast, everyone.
I did it all by myself.
I didn't know it was a competition.
Nope, neither did I.
I am. Wow, that's incredible. 7 servings per container. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
This is like I could eat a box of this before bed after a run.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Whoa, Childlike at Best. So that is. So tell us a little bit more about what you do on Childlike at Best, and feel free to throw any other bits my way.
Yeah. Well, that's really the only bit that we really do, other than we have another sort of eating bit that we do as well. Like before I ask the first question, we always have a Flintstones vitamin together. Like what my guests and I.
Like the chewy one, like the hard ones.
We do gummies instead of the tablets
because the tablets are that's what they give people in work camps.
To make so they can
after you've committed
so they can
crimes.
Draw.
those are terrible.
Yeah.
That flavor haunts me.
Yeah, it's real bad.
It's like eating a brick of toothpaste.
Yes, I agree. But yeah, most vitamins are in gummy form now, so we just go with Flintstones gummies.
I actually had to take vitamin B. The fish oil.
Yeah.
In gummy form, that's a weird thing to eat in gummy form because even though you probably don't taste it, like in the back of your mind, you're like, did I just eat a fish gummy bear?
I would think that'd be a hard taste to get out of a palate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you eat. Who would want to eat fish gummies? Well, Swedish fish, but they're just shaped like fish.
Yeah, that's true.
That's really.
Look, my dear friend Howie, my musical partner of 20 plus years, he used to talk about, when we were in high school, he has such an incredible sense of humor. He used to talk about how what could be the grossest snacks, and the one that always comes to mind that he used to talk about was the loxicle.
The loxicle? What is that?
A loxicle. It would be like, it's like a popsicle, but it's just frozen lox, like, smoked salmon.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I totally know
just
what you
a
mean.
little stick and you suck on it. Isn't that the most?
Yeah, that would be pretty.
Loxicles are.
Yeah, that would be pretty horrible. Absolutely.
So Mike Valdes, you are also a musician.
I am.
Let's talk about that before we get going. Yeah, I want to hear.
Absolutely.
Again, from musician to musician, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a band called Mike Valdes and the Noise. I'm the first part of that one. And
as opposed to the second part of the podcast,
Childlike Abyss. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. so it's basically just alternative pop music. So it's someone said the best thing about us. They were like, "Man, you're like punk rock Billy Joel."
Oh,
and I was like,
"Punk rock Billy." You had me at punk rock Billy Joel. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
And I was like, "Oh, that's the best thing anyone could ever say about me."
That is the best compliment. I feel like if someone just told me at work, "You are punk rock Billy Joel," I would mic drop. I'm out.
Exactly.
I have achieved all that I can.
Yeah. So we basically do piano-driven rock and roll music. Gotcha. So it's we have an album on Spotify and iTunes, all that stuff. It's called Dreamer, and we have quite a bit of stuff.
If I have reception, I will be buying this album right now.
Yeah,
I still buy my music. Do you still buy music, or are you all about the Spotify?
I actually am. I'm in the train of like paying $7.99 and listening to all the music.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Well, I'm a little bit of a I don't know if obsessive is the right word, or I'm a collector. Yeah. And I like to own stuff. I'm afraid iTunes is going to take it all away one day.
Yeah, I'm actually very scared of that as well. It's one of the reasons why I started collecting vinyl.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm scared that I was like, I keep buying all this stuff digitally, but like what happens if there's some sort of surge or like, the revelation from the apocalypse of like biblical proportions comes, like what do we do if I wanted to watch a movie and I can't? Like, at least I know I have the DVD.
That's my house isn't basically built that way.
Yeah,
it's basically built in case there is a DVD apocalypse and there is no way to stream movies. I own all the movies I have digitally, or all the movies that I own are either digitals that I've bought that are sitting on a server, or actual DVDs that I have, or backups because I'm a crazy person.
I'm the same.
All right, before we get you out, I want to play these. Do you have time to do one more game?
Of course I do.
The signature game of Friday Night Movie.
Awesome.
Buy, rent, meh. Okay?
Nice. I love it.
So this is the universal rating system of Friday Night Movie. Mm-hmm. Buy means you buy it. You're putting it in that iTunes library. Mm-hmm. Okay? Rent. There was these things called video stores in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Where you'd go to... Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just
Hollywood
making sure.
Video, Blockbuster.
Most people only have seen them in the Captain Marvel.
The good thing about me, Shai, is that I look younger than I am.
Oh, okay, all right. Because your pop culture references are amazingly close to my old age. I'm
a lot older than I look.
Oh, okay, all right. And then meh. Now, meh, what's really important about your meh is how you deliver it.
Sure.
Is going to define what the meh is. It can be a meh, I don't care. It can be a meh, like I don't like it. Now, so I'm going to mash up as much as I can in this question here.
That sounds great.
Okay, you are a singer and a performer.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is music movies.
Okay.
They're not necessarily musicals. Yeah. These are music movies.
Yeah.
All right?
I actually have a really hot take opinion on this. I love music movies. They're great, but it is I hold a very high bar for them. Okay. Because it is really difficult to make a movie where making music seems entertaining, because it's not entertaining to watch people write music.
That's a really good good way to describe. I think
So for example, like That Thing You Do is an amazing movie because they make being in a band cool.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Whereas like it's not actually that cool sometimes.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm gonna throw 3 movies at you. Okay. And you have to assign a value by rent or meh.
Okay.
But you cannot assign the same value to
Sounds
each movie.
great.
All right.
Yeah.
So the choices have to be made,
and
choices have to be justified.
Okay.
That Thing You Do, which is my all-time favorite music movies.
One of them for me as well.
Now this one, if you don't know this movie, then we'll go to a different one. But did you ever see The Commitments?
I never saw The Commitments.
Okay. Yeah. Homework is to see The Commitments because that's the second best music movie of all time.
I'm all about it. Yeah.
All right. Then I'm gonna jump us along to Pitch Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Now, do you have a preferred Pitch Perfect? I'm a Pitch Perfect 2 guy, but most people are a Pitch Perfect 1 person.
I feel the same way about all 3 of them.
Oh, God. All right, well, this is going to be... All right, I'm going to have to make this hard for you in a second.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Pitch Perfect. So we got Pitch Perfect. I'm going to go with 1 just so we're on a level playing field. Yeah. And then how about Bohemian Rhapsody? Oscar-winning Bohemian Rhapsody. So we are in the a cappella world, we are in the band world, and we're in the real band world.
Man...
Buy, rent, or meh, all 3 of these.
It's easy. Like the answers are going to be easy, but I'm going to have to explain why.
Okay.
I know for a fact. So definitely buy That Thing You Do. It's one of the greatest music
rarely
movies
do
of all
I
time.
say there's a right answer. That is the actual right answer. It's scientific.
My 2 favorite movies about being in a band are That Thing You Do and Sing Street. Have you ever seen
I've seen Sing Street. I like that movie a lot, but it wouldn't be in my top. It wasn't a very. I liked it a lot, but it wasn't a very memorable movie.
Yeah, I completely understand, but yeah, That Thing You Do is by and large the best movie about being in a band. Like period. So there's that. Rent Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
The reason why is Rami Malek does an amazing performance for Freddie Mercury, but that's about it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like,
so, I agree with Rent, but to me, Bohemian Rhapsody felt like an action movie. It was so intense, every performance.
Yeah.
These are all. I mean, I remember watching a lot of those, especially the Live Aid thing I'd seen already on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to see the whole thing. So
that was the best part of the movie, in my opinion. Was the Live Aid part. But yeah, the reason why that movie is kind of difficult for me is because I'm a really big Queen fan, and I've seen like all the documentaries about it and like all these different things, and just them getting a lot of these things wrong kind of just made me upset and got me out of the movie.
Oh, okay.
You know, even down to like equipment, to where like they would be,
wow.
Even down to where they were recording in one scene, and I'm there with my friend who's also a guitarist and a producer, and they have a mic on the amp, and the mic is a Shure SM7B, which they didn't make at the time when Queen was recording Bohemian Rhapsody, so it makes no sense.
That's a detail that if Brian May was involved, he would have been like, hey, I could build you the microphone.
Exactly. Yeah, like there were little things like that, and there were so many little things that I was just like, I don't know, man. But I cannot dispute that Rami Malek's performance was amazing. Like it was just out of this world. So I would definitely rent that movie. And then for Pitch Perfect, because like it's definitely.
You have an issue with National Treasure Brittany Snow?
No, I don't. Not at all. I actually look. I'm all for making movies about music and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what it is. Like there was something about like a cappella movies, like they just never interested me. Like even watching Glee sometimes I would just be like, I don't know, man, like it's fine, you know what I mean? But it's
Glee I did not like at all. I watched one episode of Glee and I was like, I can't do this. But Pitch Perfect always worked for me.
Well, one of the reasons why Pitch Perfect is great, and I understand why it's so popular, is because it's extremely funny. Like it's just it's a very good comedy.
It has a great edge of humor.
Absolutely.
But Glee was much more, I think, much more tried to be much more socially interesting and make actual statements. Pitch Perfect was just, this is a comedy.
Exactly.
With great actors. I love Pitch, so I will, just so you know, I'm going to buy that thing you do. That's the right answer.
Yeah.
I will rent Pitch Perfect, but I got to tell you, 2 of my most watched movies, I do not travel without Pitch Perfect 1 and 2 on the device.
That's
I love
cool.
those movies so much.
Yeah.
Pitch Perfect 2, actually. The whole bit with Keegan-Michael Key telling Dax to get in his vintage bassoon case is just one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Although it's kind of a uneven movie.
Yeah.
The next one, and then I'll put Bohemian Rhapsody as meh, but it's like a reluctant meh, because it was amazing, but it's such an intense movie that I'm not rewatching. I don't need it on a desert island. I need those other ones.
I definitely agree with you on that. It's not a desert island movie by any means.
All right, can I ask you one more movie music question? Have you seen Yesterday, and have you seen Blinded by the Light?
I haven't seen either, but the thing that
which one is better then? I've seen them. I know which one I think is better, but which one do you think is better, having not seen them?
I'm assuming the better one is Yesterday, but my whole thought is that everyone I've ever talked to about Yesterday, they're always like, man, it's really funny that they made a movie like this. I've always had that thought, like, what if the world forgot that this person existed, and then I just made all of their stuff? Because I've actually had that thought.
People go around thinking that? Oh.
Yeah, I've actually had that thought, not specifically with the Beatles, but I have had that thought, like, man, I wonder if, like, this comedian didn't exist and I just took all of their jokes, like, would anyone even know? You know, if no one knew Robin Williams existed. You know what I mean? Like, and I just went around and just like, oh, what a wonderful place. That's whatever.
Interesting, because I will say, like, the movie, I've never, my wife and I are the only 2 people I know that have seen it. I really didn't like it. I thought it was a really, like, dull movie, and the songs, there was a lot of Ed Sheeran. I don't know if he's an actor. I know he was in, like, 1 episode of Game of Thrones.
That's enough.
Ed Sheeran is a huge part of that movie, a disproportionate part of that movie. Blinded by the Light I thought was better because it was, on one hand, it was made by the same director as Bend It Like Beckham, so it hits a lot of those same notes. But so in that sense, it was delivered excellently. Meaning, if it was just that and it wasn't about Springsteen, it would be excellent. And then the way they wove in the music and this character's true love for the music, there's this moment where he's listening to the Springsteen stuff for the first time, and when he and his friends are running through the streets with Born to Run, and there are these musical scenes, sort of like, I can't tell if they're in their head or if they're real, but there's a scene where the whole town sings Thunder Road together. Oh, yeah. And to me, it captures that feeling of loving music so hard in a way that you feel like only you can understand.
Yeah, of course.
And Yesterday was more this like business question of, I have access to all of these.
Absolutely.
This sort of ethical business question. Yeah. Less of something with real heart. There's a few moments in Yesterday that has a lot of heart, but I didn't feel like it had a lot of heart. Yeah. It had a lot of Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, now I know which one to watch.
I would say hit Blinded by the Light first. If you catch it on Childlike at best, I'd love to know what you think.
Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
Mike Valdes. Sometimes you're the first part, sometimes you're the second part.
Yeah, but I'm always there.
You are so many things, and you're an incredible gentleman. Please remind our listeners everywhere they can follow you.
Okay, well, on Instagram, I am at Mike Valdes. On Twitter, I am Mike Valdes. And you can go to whoismikevaldes.com to find out the answer to that question. And that's it.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you. Since this is a full Friday Night Movie episode, I'll give our tags as well. You can follow us at Fry Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me at Pancake and the number 4 Table, Pancake 4 Table on Twitter and Instagram. Our theme song, which will kick in, it's just going to kick in your head now because I have to edit it in post, is by What Does It Eat? And thank you so much for being here. And I miss my sisters greatly. And I'm sure at some point they would love to talk to you and have you on the show with all of us.
I'd love to talk to them as well.
And then before we wrap up our time at Gamer Comic Expo, I want to send a huge, huge thank you to my intern, the host of Friday Night Junior, She has been with me every step of the weekend. She has been so professional and so responsible. Thank you so much. I'm waving to her. She's right behind me. I can't tell if she's smiling.
Yeah, she is. She's smiling and waving.
She has been absolutely amazing, and I think so many people at the con have gotten a chance to know her.
That's awesome.
And then my parents are in town as well by total coincidence, and they've come out. And this is like the 4th Comic-Con they've come to with me.
That's awesome.
And this is Friday Night Movie is really ultimately, when people ask me, it is about family, and you are all now part of the Friday Night Movie family.
Yeah.
So the guys in the audience who don't, did I give you a T-shirt yet?
Not yet.
All right, so you're gonna get a T-shirt. I'll give you one down at the booth. But the
Yes.
folks in the audience, you guys are getting T-shirts.
Yeah.
And then Mike are gonna get you one as well.
Yeah, man, I'd love it.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah.
You have been listening to the Friday Night Movie Podcast. Thanks so much for being a part of our Pottern family. Remember to listen and subscribe to the show everywhere that you get your podcasts. And of course, follow us on social media at Fry Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks again for listening.